Hi everybody, it's Falloween, and this is the last day of Falloween. It is also Halloween Day, the best day of the year, of course, in the horror world. And today I'm going to review Wilding Hall by Elizabeth Hand. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. And it's also Metal Monday. Now, this band at the heart of this story is not actually a metal band. They're what's considered acid folk, and I guess the book was the band was inspired by the folk revival of the 60s, in the late 60s, early 70s. But of course, the whole time I was thinking about songs like Battle of Evermore by Led Zeppelin, or this Spinal Tap's Stonehenge. Now, I don't know if obviously, it's a very old movie and one of my all-time favorites. This, for copyright reasons, I can't show you, but you know the scene I'm thinking of. That's what I think of when I think of acid folk, but of course, it being Spinal Tap gets way funnier, so it makes it a lot harder to take seriously. Okay, so anyway, joking about the kind of music aside, the book, there were things about the book that I really liked, and there are things about the book that I really didn't like. Now, the main thing that I really didn't like about the book was, one more time, I hate framing devices. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. Because, one more time, the further removed you get from the action in a story, I think the less suspenseful it becomes. I mean, if you know everybody survived, then you don't really have anything to be worried about, right? So with that said, the premise of the story is that this folk band called Wind Hollow Fair, spelled F-A-I-R-E, their manager rents a mansion, a crumbling two-door mansion, was built. They said the majority of it is from the Tudor period, which was late 1400s. But some areas of it are actually older than that, and there have been some add-ons. There were some add-ons over the centuries. So they're all, in their late teens and early 20s, and they go to this place where they start writing music, and it's some of the best songs they've ever written. They start researching some of the traditional ballads of the place. They find some old, really, really old books. Remember when you were in your early 20s and you could live on eggs, vegetables, wine, and weed? Can't do that now, but I remember those days, and there's a real sort of haze of nostalgia about that time. And it did make me quite nostalgic for my days of, being a wannabe rock journalist and hanging out with hippie, the broke hippie types, and they were all making music, and everybody was kind of coming together, and this whole sort of communal musical, just the way that felt to be part of it was. So there's a lot of nostalgia there as the story progresses about this place where they're creating this music. But after the first few weeks, things start to get a little bit weird, because this place there's something really wrong here. And the house is one of those locations that don't make sense. So they'll be, going through, and they'll find one, they'll find a room, and the room will not be there the next day, kind of thing. Sorry, it's great for Halloween. I have a light above me that has a short. So if it flickers, that's what you're seeing. So, and just sort of as a supplement, the bass player's girlfriend shows up for a visit, and she has some kind of a seizure or something, and she actually is a practicing witch. She ends up after this eventually going and making a living reading tarot cards and being a fortune teller, that sort of lifestyle, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And then there's another journalist that pays a visit and writes an article for the local music paper, or not the music paper, I think it's supposed to be something like NME or one of those papers from the 60s. And she gets lost in the house, and she ends up in this ancient library room, and she sees this young girl in the room, and the girl doesn't say anything, and then suddenly she's gone. So clearly this place is haunted. And other weird things happen, but nobody really says too much about it because there's so much substance going around. They can't really tell, is it because they're high? Is it because this place is haunted? Is it because they're just not, they don't understand the house? Whatever, right? So then their manager shows up with a portable recording rig, and they record some demos, and there's some pictures taken by a local kid that is just there kind of helping out. And then after a while they play their one and only gig with this music, and this weird girl shows up, and then spoiler, their guitar player, they see him leave with the girl, but then they never see him again. And that's pretty much the end of it. That's all the build up to this whole thing. It's like, well, oh, what happened? And so you're expecting something much more violent or terrible, or but part of the problem is that they sort of talk around the events, but they never actually, I don't know, in my opinion, they're not really described in a way that makes them matter as much as I think they should. Where the book's strengths are, it's got a really interesting setting. There's, like I said, tons of nostalgia for that whole feeling, and I think that was well captured. But the actual lead up to what this could be, is this a ghost? Is this an abduction? What happens? I felt kind of let down by it. It is a very short story. Maybe if it had been told in a different way, it might have been better. Maybe if it had been longer, it might have been better. Or it would have made if that's one of, again, I've said this before about novellas too, is novellas always live in this very strange thing where either they can be a very short and punchy short story and tell less and make it count, or expand it, tell more, and give us a better idea of what's going on. When you run into this kind of middle ground, I haven't read very many novellas that really have the impact that they need to have in that short amount of time. I think the only one that I can think of off the top of my head, now this is not, I would say Shop Girl by Steve Martin and The Wendigo by Algernon Blackwood are the only, and they're very, very different stories. So 4 out of 5 stars. Sorry, I'm checking my notes again. I hope I captured that. It was a good enough book. It kept me reading, but it just felt like a letdown at the end of it. Like there was so much build up to what this could have been, but I was just frustrated by it not ending up with enough. Left me kind of wanting more. So anyway, it's Metal Monday. It's Halloween. Hope you're reading lots of horror. Have a great day.